The 2024 movie, Reagan, tells the life story of Hollywood actor and United States President, Ronald Reagan, but the movie isn't able to capture the man's entire life in just over 2 hours. Reagan premiered in August of 2024 and received record-breaking reactions. Reagan's Rotten Tomatoes scores are notably divisive, with an 18% critic score and the audience score at a whopping 98%. This is the biggest gap between scores in Rotten Tomatoes history. Though it is difficult to unpack why exactly these scores are so starkly different, one reason may be how Reagan portrays its protagonist's very full life. When it comes to movies about historical figures, it can be hard to find a balance between authenticity and entertainment. The biggest obstacle is time. If a director wants to squeeze someone's entire life into a 2-hour movie, some cuts are going to be inevitable. Unfortunately, some of these cuts can have a negative impact on the film as a whole. Reagan is far from the first biopic to explore the life of a famous person, but it does make some interesting choices in what it chooses to focus on and how it does so. Reagan follows Ronald Reagan's life as an actor and as president. How Reagan's plot helped the movie. Reagan follows the life of Ronald Reagan from his childhood in Illinois to his eventual death in 2004. The movie shows how Reagan's childhood often revolved around religion, especially in the face of his father's alcoholism. Later, audiences see Reagan begin his Hollywood career, which is what first put him in the public eye. As Reagan's acting career came to an end, the movie delves into his political aspirations, eventually leading to his election as the 40th President of the United States. The film ends with the end of Reagan's presidency and his diagnosis with Alzheimer's. Once again, it is quite an ambitious endeavor to showcase a man's entire life in a single movie, but Reagan makes a solid attempt. Arguably, its storyline both helped the movie and also hurt it. Reagan's generation-spanning plot likely allowed audiences to get a full picture of Reagan, not just as president, but as a man. He likely felt more relatable because of his origins and desires outside of politics. On the other hand, Reagan's full plot likely meant that the movie could only dive so deep into certain topics that maybe deserved more exploration. Reagan's true story timeline and all major events covered. What Reagan's events say about the president. Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan with an American flag background on the poster for Reagan 2024. Although Reagan isn't able to showcase every single element of Reagan's life, there are definitely milestones that stick out. For example, the movie spends time on Reagan's acting career, his position as president of the Screen Actors Guild, and his marriage to Jane Wyman. From there, the movie transitions to Reagan's time as governor and his time for choosing speech. Leading up to and during his presidency, the movie also lingers on moments like Reagan's clashes with student protesters in California, the attempted assassination of Reagan, and his meeting with Mikhail Gorbachev. A case could be made that the events Reagan chooses to focus on say a lot about the movie's overarching message. For one thing, the movie seems to shed notable light on Reagan's speeches, including A Time for Choosing, his speech after the Iran-Contra scandal, and his famous speech at the Brandenburg Gate. Perhaps Reagan wants audiences to focus on the former president's ability to inspire crowds, even in tough or controversial scenarios. However, on top of that, the movie endeavors to show Reagan in more than just political situations, highlighting his religious leanings and ambitions. What Reagan leaves out about Ronald Reagan's true story. How Reagan's plot makes it controversial. Ronald Reagan talking to the media. As much as Reagan attempts to tie the president's life into a neat bow, it isn't an easy task, and the movie often leaves out details that might seem imperative to certain viewers. For example, many critics argue that Reagan downplays the more negative opinions of the former president. In an article by Slate, it is pointed out that although Reagan is framed as a friend to BIPOC characters, in reality, he was against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Furthermore, Reagan's handling of the AIDS crisis and the war on drugs are seemingly glossed over. Ultimately, what Reagan does and does not say about Ronald Reagan is what makes the movie so successful, yet so controversial. While some audiences clearly feel that the movie portrays an inspiring and heartfelt story about an important president, others feel that the film is disingenuous about the truth of Reagan's policies and failures. Either way, Reagan stands out for its unique ratings and the way it has split viewers so intensely.